In 2025, Hollywood lost serious money. Not on indie films, on movies with massive budgets, massive hype, and massive expectations. Snow White lost steam, Elio underperformed, Mickey 17 couldn't justify its cost. So how can Hollywood make movies that cost hundreds of millions and still lose money? Snow White was supposed to be a guaranteed hit. A classic story, modernized for 2025 audiences. Disney invested $250 million, the highest budget for any fairy tale reboot in history. Marketing campaigns plastered the film everywhere, billboards, trailers, social media ads. It was positioned as a must-see family event. Audiences, however, didn't respond the way the studio expected. Critics said the movie felt safe, too predictable, and lacked the charm of the original. Younger viewers found it slow, and social media quickly turned the conversation negative. Memes and reviews questioned whether this Snow White was really needed. Opening weekend brought in only $70 million domestically. By the second week, attendance dropped dramatically. Even with international markets, the total revenue barely hit $120 million. Disney lost over half of their production budget on a movie that was supposed to be unfailable. Next, Elio. This was an ambitious indie-style sci-fi adventure budgeted at $80 million. The film aimed to capture a niche audience that craved complex, cerebral storytelling. Marketing highlighted its unique concepts, but it became confusing to most viewers. Early screenings showed that even sci-fi fans were divided. Some praised the creativity and visuals, but many found the story disjointed. Critics described it as ambitious, but uneven. Social media amplified the criticism, and word of mouth did not build the momentum the studio had hoped for. When Elio premiered, it earned $20 million in its opening weekend. By the end of its theatrical run, domestic revenue was only $50 million. The studio had bet on a smaller film with high potential, but the audience just wasn't there. Finally, Mickey 17. This was a high-concept sci-fi spectacle with a $180 million budget. The studio invested heavily in cutting-edge visual effects, hoping to dazzle audiences and critics alike. The trailers showcased stunning scenes, and marketing promised an unforgettable adventure. But the story couldn't match the visuals. Critics loved the effects, but criticized the characters and plot. Audiences felt disconnected. Despite massive hype, domestic box office totaled only $110 million. International markets helped, but not enough to offset the losses. Mickey 17 alone cost the studio nearly $70 million. Altogether, these three films lost over $350 million in 2025. It wasn't because of poor talent or lack of effort. Studios overestimated nostalgia, misjudged audience interests, and assumed massive budgets automatically translate into hits. Hollywood's biggest lessons are clear: oversaturation, nostalgia without innovation, marketing that confuses rather than entices, and budgets that far exceed the audience's willingness to pay attention. If studios want to succeed again, they need to focus on quality storytelling, targeted marketing, and smarter timing.